Hello, and welcome to Azril. Today, we will cover the Frost Mage at level 110. Today is the 8th of April, 2016. So, this is a very latest build of the alpha. Now, Frost Mages haven't really received a lot of change in some departments, but when it comes down to talents, you have received a full rework. At least most of it is reworked. And I wouldn't say you've been given talents the same as other classes or other specs. It's more of a playstyle thing for Frost Mages. I feel like Frost Mage has evolved. It's more like a spec that has multiple specs inside of it, like a subgenre, where you play like this and you play like that. And you can say that's the same for other specs and classes, but I feel like the emphasis on Frost Mage is there. So let's go down to the talents. Ray of Frost. Now, Ray of Frost, I like it. I feel like it's a nice, unique, new ability, but it doesn't really synergize with the spec. The playstyle of using Ray of Frost, to stand there for 10 seconds and channel it, it's kind of a niche ability, and I'll quickly give you a demonstration how it actually plays out. So there's Ray of Frost. As you can see, the damage, it's just going higher and higher. As you can see, I got a Ray of Frost stacking buff. You can track that obviously, but it is what it is. Now, that is quite a bit of damage. It does do damage quite often. It's every 0.9 seconds, and this does scale with haste, this value. So, it is a cool ability. It does its damage. But at the end of the day, it's going to be what really scales and works with the spec. And Ray of Frost has no impact on any of the passives, the artifacts, or anything at all. It is its own thing. So I've gone with Lonely Winter, and I'm kind of disappointed I've actually had to go with Lonely Winter because of the lack of emphasis on the alternative. So Lonely Winter essentially has made me like a marksman hunter, no pet. But to make up for that, my Frostbolt, my Ice Lance, my Frozen Orb, and my Icicles deal 25% more damage. No pet though. As you can see, pet is gone. Bone Chilling. Now Bone Chilling to me is that patchwork talent. And yes, my character is bugged, sorry. Bone Chilling is cool. It is a really cool talent. And I'm pretty sure this works in the other playstyle, and the other playstyle is more of an emphasis on today's current Frost Mage, where you have a pet, you still play with Icicles, mastery on how it is. I'll get into the mastery thing in a moment, and you just want to like keep that 6-second window up there most of the time. But then you get to movement fights and this and that, and it's not so easy to keep 6-second window with 16 stacks. You'll be dropping stacks. So I kind of feel like 6 stacks could maybe be increased. Maybe with higher values of haste later on. But the 6-second window is what that design is for. But it needs a bit of love. I feel like you need a lot of haste for Frost Mage. And that generally is the case for this spec. So I went with Lonely Winter. And I'm just going to demonstrate to you this playstyle. The Lonely Winter version. Shimmer is just a replacement for Blink. It just lets you cast it while you're casting other skills, and it's off the global as well, and it has 2 charges. Now this 45 row, I have the same issue with the 45 row with all 3 mage specs. Mirror images is boring, there's no emphasis, it doesn't do anything, and you're right, mirror images don't do anything today other than be mirror images and deal damage. Well, you don't have an artifact, and the artifact kind of emphasizes each individual skill that you own, you have, and it's supposed to build on it. But mirror images doesn't work with that. Your mirror images don't scale with your artifact. See, my artifact will make me the player stronger. So Rune of Power, the more damage my artifact makes me deal, the more benefit I'm going to gain from Rune of Power. But that same can't be said for mirror images, because if I have a modification in my artifact tree where it's like your Ice Lance deals more damage in this condition, mirror images won't benefit from that. But Rune of Power would then give me 50% more damage for that very trait. So Rune of Power consistently works universally, whereas mirror images it's just plain, it's bland. It needs sprucing up, it needs some new life. Incanter's Flow, it's just a numbers thing. I feel like Incanter's Flow and Rune of Power, fair enough, they compete head to head. Rune of Power maybe for that less mobility fight. Incanter's Flow, AoE ISK and movement and whatnot, general ease of life, I can see that being the case. But Rune of Power for all 3 specs just seems to be consistently the way to go. So I kind of would like to see some more diversity for this row, at least some change. The 60 row. Now the same issue I had with Ray of Frost with Ice Nova is the damage Ice Nova does and the way it works is not warranted being a world choice, a well decided choice. It doesn't do enough damage, nor is it designed in a way where it scales with the spec. Same thing I said with mirror images. Ice Nova does not fit in with anything. There's nothing to gain with Ice Nova. Even using this inside of Rune of Power, it's still not even at the same level as what I've gone with. I've taken Frozen Touch when there's just so much damage, like 54k here from Ice Nova, and for a primary target it's going to hit 100% harder, so that's about 108k. But if I was to pop here Frozen Touch, gives me 2 Fingers of Frost charges, and then bam, 158k, 78k hit, and that's 2, and the Frozen Touch is actually off the GCD. Ice Nova however isn't. So I don't mind if Ice Nova is an AoE talent or a cleave talent, but it shouldn't really have the primary enemy takes blah 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 more damage thing. Should be more emphasis into Ice Nova being a great choice instead. Bitter Cold however, Frozen Orb damage increased by 10% and it now generates 2 charges of Fingers of Frost when it first damages the target. I would actually like for this talent to have a cap increase on Fingers of Frost charges. You can only have 2, so I'm pretty sure this eventually will make it so you lose charges somehow. Kinda needs to be addressed. But clear winner was Frozen Touch, because this just synergizes with Rune of Power, and I'll also get into that playstyle in a moment. Ice Flows, cast while moving, no brainer, nothing has really changed here. 90 row, again Frost Bomb, fair enough, it's an AoE talent, cool. But then at the same time, Unstable Magic kind of cleaves and AoEs itself. Bit of a contradiction, don't mind it. I can see there's more emphasis in the Frost Bomb because of the sheer increased damage it deals. But Unstable Magic, you know, it's kind of a boring talent. I'd really like to see some more proactive talents here. Like the Frozen Touch thing was nice, especially let's take switching target. In encounter we want to switch that target, kill it, and maybe it's got low life, or you just want to like switch, or you're running around and you just want to have on-demand damage. Frozen Touch, there you go. Unstable Magic, spam your 1 and it will do it if it wants to. Arctic Gale, another, I don't understand these talents. There's these AoE-ish talents. No one is ever going to spec this. If this was like a Bladestorm talent like Warriors have, I could understand. This talent now makes your Blizzard like Bladestorm. It does a ton of damage when you want a ton of AoE damage. 30% Blizzard damage and its area effect. Unless there is some kind of crazy AoE fight where you're just going to benefit from having so much Blizzard and a bigger radius on it. I'll just show you Blizzard's radius now. To have mobs that spread around this big circle, and yes, Blizzard is a cast and just kind of does its own thing like Rain of Fire but with a cast. a bigger radius to like cover this whole place and more damage. I don't know. I just don't see these kind of talents being that great. Could be in a PvP environment, but in a PvE environment, I'm a bit confused because there's no way in hell this is going to be the case. The 100 roll. Thermal Void, same as it is today. Your Ice Lance increases the duration of your ice evades. It is what it is. It's a cool talent, but I have a different playstyle I want to go with, and I won't get into Glacial Spike yet. I'm going to just show you Comet Storm. Comet Storm is still Comet Storm. I'll just quickly give you a demonstration how it looks. As you can see, bam bam bam, loads of missiles flying down. This is more of an AoE talent, so it's not really the single talent. However, Glacial Spike, now the thing I was going on about as to playstyle change, Glacial Spike completely changes how icicles work. Instead of your icicles shooting out when you Ice Lance, you just build up 5 icicles and then you just throw out the Glacial Spike. It just combines all the damage and it just throws it at the target. And it's kind of cool, and I really love this talent. So let's give it a whirl. But first, I'd like to quickly show you the artifact tree. Now you start off given Doom Bolt. Doom Bolt, 45-second cooldown. See, and then I've gone back into Rune of Power Synergy. So I have a Rune of Power, 45-second recharge, and my artifact skill. They work. Now Ebon Bolt will give you 2 fingers of frost charges. So your Rune of Power, Ebon Bolt, 2 fingers of frost charges, just throw out those ice lances, and then you can pop your off the GCD skill, Frozen Touch, 2 more charges of fingers of frost. Got to remember it's a 10-second window for Rune of Power. Ice Lance is just like throwing immense amounts of damage in this 10-second window. So you're kind of like DPSing in this little window here. Obviously DPS exists outside of the window, but you got that 50% emphasis with Rune of Power. And then you have Shattering Bolts, critical strike chance on Frostbolt. Then you have Let It Go. Now I'm pretty sure you'll get Let It Go where it's coming from. Increase the critical strike damage of Ice Lance by 30%. Again, I go back to this. Ice Nova doesn't work like this because Let It Go makes Frozen Touch stronger. It makes it more emphasized. It makes this work with the spec. This does not. Jouster. When you Ice Lance, you take 3% less damage for 6 seconds. It is what it is. Shield Overloading. Increase the damage assault by Ice Barrier by 100%. Nice, I guess. Black Ice. A passive. Ebon Chill, name of the artifact, has a chance to empower icicles, increasing the damage done by 100%. But wait a minute, Glacial Spike doesn't let me shoot my icicles anymore. This, again, with another trait I'll show you, it will eventually work with the Glacial Spike build. So anything that gets replaced, it should receive a compensation. Might not be in this build, might not be in that build, but eventually it will be the case. So Black Ice will have some kind of impact on Glacial Spike. It could be the case that it does, but I don't really have any passes or anything like that going with the spec or this video showcase because it's only alpha. I don't really want to get too technical, but let's just go with it. Black Ice, it is what it is. For the other playstyle where you just play like you do today, this is a great talent. The chance, however, is quite high. I wouldn't say it's 100%. I wouldn't say it's like 80%, maybe like 40-30% chance that your Ebon Chill empowers your icicle shots. Chain Reaction. Frostbolt critical strikes empower Ice Lance, increasing its damage dealt by 20%. You'll get a buff for this. It doesn't tell you what the duration is. I can't remember myself. I will show you as I play it. But this is great. So you kind of want to like keep up the Ice Lance buff. but at 20% damage. Now it's not something you can really invest into because your Frostbolt does have to, at the end of the day, crit. So if you're lucky and in your DPS window with Rune of Power you get a Frostbolt crit, you're going to be smiling. Orbital Strike is just more damage to Frozen Orb. Chill to the Core. Activating Icy Veins encases you in ice, increasing frost damage you deal by 20%. So, Icy Veins, again, 3-minute cooldown, it's just 30% haste, and you just be shooting out spells for 20 seconds, with a 20% damage mod on top. Then we have Ice Age. Yeah. Increase the critical strike damage of Frozen Orb. Alright, fair enough. Denial of Service. Interrupting a spell with counterspell resets the cooldown of Frost Nova, Ice Barrier, and Blink. Defensive resets. Not bad. Ice 9. Frostbolt has a chance to generate 2 icicles. Cool. Clarity of Thought. Frostbolt has an additional 10% chance to activate Brain Freeze. Brain Freeze, as you can see, it's Frostbolt has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Frozen Orb. So you can have multiple Frozen Orbs thrown at the target. Cool. Icy Caress. Increase the damage dealt by Frostbolt. And then we get to It's Cold Outside. Your water elemental casts something called Jagged Shard. Now right now it doesn't actually cast the Jagged Shard, but the effect is in there. The pet does have a 20% chance to generate that charge. I've actually tested this. I've actually looked at it, made sure it's working. It works, it just doesn't have the animation to shoot out the Jagged Shard, but it does inherit the mechanic. This will obviously be fixed later on. But then we've gotten to the issue is, I play a petless build. My Jagged Shard is non-existent. What do I gain from this trait? Well, you'll find out in the future, not in this video. Unfortunately, there is no compensation yet. The Storm Rages. Critical strike chance of Blizzard. And then we got Frozen Veins. Frostbolt critical strike reduced the remaining cooldown of Icy Veins by 1.5 seconds. So that was the artifact tree for Frost Mages. Now, there's a lot of flat passives, same can be said with most specs, but it's really the golden dragons you really want to take a look at, and the 1-pointers. So the Cold Outside should really have some kind of emphasis on the petless build. So let's say one of these skills could inherit the 20% chance to grant a charge of Fingers of Frost. You could even say Frostbolt, or even Icicles, or even Frozen Orb, or even direct it somewhere else, or maybe your Frostbolt or your Ice Lance shoots out an additional Jagged Shard, which has a chance to deal and give another charge. You know, like just throw on some RNG layer. Fair enough. Doesn't have to come from the pet. Same for the thing with Black Ice. Instead of, it could just maybe just add up. Imagine it was shooting out the icicle, it just adds up the damage and puts it into Glacial Spike. And then you got Chilled to the Core. It is what it is. So let's get down to how it actually plays. So obviously you have a few DPS windows you are going to want to play with, and it kind of changes how you play the spec. So you're going to start off with your Icy Veins. You're going to put down your Rune of Power. You're going to shoot out your Ebon Bolt, and then bam, 2 Ice Lances. There's my Frozen Touch. Throw out my Ice Orb, and then my Rune of Power is gone. So I want to build up. I still got that extra charge of Rune of Power. I've resetted my Frozen Orb, but I'm trying to get my Icicles going for my Glacial Spike. So I'm putting down, I'm going to do my 2 Ice Lances, Then I'm gonna do my Glacial Spike. Oh, here's that big hit, bam, 890k. And then I'm just gonna quickly, see, I don't really got the haste. I really should have shot that Ice Lance first and then did my Frozen Touch. So haste is gonna be a real big thing with this spec. Now as you can see, my initial Rune of Power is up. So let's put down the Rune of Power with the Ebon Bolt. Gonna do the combo, the 2 Ice Lances and then the big Glacial Spike. Just bam! Didn't crit, unfortunate, but this is essentially the Frost Mage rotation. Now there are some emphases you can obviously do to this. You can actually keep this Frostbolt buff for the Icicles. Let me just crit with my Frostbolt. It's just not happening, is it? Bam. Wow, I'm just not critting, sorry. Alright, so you got the Empowered Ice Lance here, where the damage of your Ice Lance is increased by 20%. You could imagine having something like this in the window, where you put down your Rune of Power, you do Ice Lance, Frozen Touch, Ice Lance, like do some insane burst. But then you have the other playstyle, and I'll quickly show you that, where you go with Bone Chilling. You could go Bitter Cold, or you could stick with the Frozen Touch. I personally like the Frozen Touch, where you have your pet. Your pet's gonna be here. See, as you can see, it still casts Water Bolt, and you're doing your thing, putting down your Rune of Power. So I've completely woofed this. Let me just do my 2 Ice Lances. So I've just completely messed this up. And my pet like generated a charge, as you can see. I clipped it, do another Rune of Power, do my 2 charges here, and then I'll just do my, you know, it's just like you're dealing the damage inside the Rune of Power. The pet's just like building it up in the background. Just throwing out as many frozen orbs. I got so many frozen orbs going. It's more like an emphasis of the current build, and you keep up the buff. Bone Chilling, no problem. The pet is going to keep it up. I'm going to keep it up. No problem. As long as you Frostbolt, you will keep this up. And then that's pretty much Frost Mages. Now, it all plays out great. It's just the synergy issue is really all I see with Frost Mages. Fix up Ice Nova. Fix up this 45 roll. It's very bad. I don't like Mirror Images, how it's been left. Incanter's Flow could maybe receive some number tuning to make it more warrant, but right now everything seems to be a window of you put down Rune of Power and you nuke. That's it. And then your 90 row is so passive and boring, where you're just gonna Frostbolt, it will do extra damage. There's nothing to react to, there's nothing to think about. It is a passive choice. And that's, again, very boring, not proactive whatsoever. Now this was Frost Mages. If you enjoyed the video, please do say. If you don't and you have some suggestions, I don't mind those as well. Please do say in the comment section below. I do, however, take requests. If you want to see something, please do say. I'm very open to doing it. I'm actually looking to find more things to do in terms of videos. There's not really much to show in terms of classes. I'm almost done. My next one's most likely going to be Feral Druid or one of the Hunter specs, Marksman or Survival. After the raid testing on Friday and Monday, you can expect to see a Demon Hunter videos from me. But this has been Azril Ontology covering Frost Mages. Azril out, and have a nice day.